You want to make sure you have the cords too, because everybody don't have the cords. And then being able to plug in and have their own music, people really like. And then the other thing that I always ask them, I'm like, look, I use the Waze app. It ties in really good with Uber for directions. Because like what happens is you'll put the you pick the person up, okay? And then it don't tell you where they're going until you pick them up. So you can't like cherry pick your rides, okay? And if you decline accepting the ride, like it'll pop up to give you to say, hey, you have a person that needs a ride, and usually it'll be within 5 minutes of where you are, 5 to 10 minutes max. They pride themselves on picking people up quick. That's why they do better in the cab company. You know. Yeah, right. I mean, like on average, I was picking somebody up from the time that they messaged me within 3 minutes. So like they put that they need to ride, and then your Waze app comes up, and it well, I didn't even, like, I lived in Washington in the suburbs. There wasn't even Uber out here because there was no one driving it because it's too spread out. Like, I could turn it on, and I got a ride, like, one time in, like, 4 months. I would just have the app on. You know. But you can't have, make sure you don't have any, you can't have anybody with you, you know. That's a...
Maybe,
Yeah, you got your kid with you, you know.
Take out the enemies to clear the encampment. There it is.
No, you don't. No, you don't want to.
One down. Let's find the next one.
No, you still don't have. She has to have her own car.
Make sure your weapons and
Yeah.
ammo are ready to go.
Right. No, you don't. No, because that's a big no-no. Because what if you're picking somebody up that has 4 people?
Take out those husks.
Yeah. Yeah. I never had that, but. Well, you can turn somebody down. Like somebody messaged me they had 5 people. It wouldn't fit in my car. No, not with me. Well, no, not safely. There's not a seatbelt. There's not a seatbelt for each person. You got to have a seatbelt for each person. You know, even though like I don't wear my seatbelt, and I don't care if they don't. I don't make people wear theirs. Some drivers make them because you can get a ticket. I didn't. And I let people sit up front if they wanted to, or if they wanted to sit in back. I didn't care. Of course, also, I'm 6'5", 300-pound ex-special forces guy. Yeah. Yeah, who was a certified officer and had my badge in the car, so nobody even.
The storm may be picking up some new.
But honestly, if somebody was going to try something, I'd rather be in the front seat than the back.
We might want to find Vlad's grave. Agree?
Yeah.
Huh,
Some people only like to get in the back, though. They like to feel like they're being chauffeured. And the other thing is, well, I mean, hey, they're paying.
Just the Vlads, not like everyone.
Yeah, keep your car clean. Have the chargers, and the other thing is,
check out your map.
I always ask the person, hey, I'm using, I'm going, you know, the directions here on the GPS, and I always tell them, hey, if you got a better way that you want me to go, because they're paying for distance. And the number one thing I heard about people is like, oh, it seemed like this Uber driver took the long way, or they did this. I always tell the person, hey, if you want me to go a different way, you just tell me. I'm like, but you just have to tell me if it differs from the GPS.
Round 3, fight!
Because if they tell me, then they got no complaint, you know.
I got this.
This is the first mission. I gotta open the coffins. I'm trying to find this one.
To complete the mission.
Oh, plus we gotta get the mission done too.
on the next one. Check out your map. Okay.
There, I found a
one
second
flat
coffin.
down. Many more to go.
Yeah, like I said, though, it's not bad. Plus, you make your own hours, you know. And like what I did is, I would run rides, and then occasionally I would end up with a ride. It was taking me towards my house, like, you know, at the end of the day, and then I was just like, there was one time I was going to the mall. Like, if I was going somewhere by myself, I just turned, unless I had to be in a rush, I just turned the app on and run it, because it doesn't cost you nothing to turn it on. And if you catch a ride, there was one time I was going to the store to go to the Best Buy store at South Hills Village. And, I turned it on, and here, I got a message for someone. I picked them up, and they were going to the Best Buy store at South Hills Village. So I even asked, I said, hey, do you mind if I run into the store? I was actually on my way there. I got my ride. Most people say okay. As long as you turn off the app, you know, you're not charging them. I had one people I picked up. I picked up with one person. And they were with me for 9 hours. Yeah, they had me take them. They had me take them to a McDonald's drive-thru, and then they needed to go to the grocery store, and they had me wait. They said, like, "Hey, do you mind waiting?" And I said, "Well, I can wait, but I have to leave the app run. Otherwise, it'll because as soon as you turn off the app that you completed the ride, it puts you in the list for the next ride. You know what I mean? It puts you in the list to pick somebody else up, and if somebody else comes up, you have like 10 seconds or so to pick it." Like to accept it, or 20 seconds. And if you go without accepting too many rides and turning it down, then they'll think you're cherry picking, and they'll make it to where you're not allowed to drive. Because if you get a bad enough rating, you can't drive. But you also rate the passengers too. Are you including your audio? Because people are going to think I'm talking to my freaking stuff. And there's other things too, like I had somebody throw up in my car. Well, I took pictures of it, and I messaged Uber, and they charged the person $140 for cleaning my car. And I could, well, that's how much it costs to get a car detailed. They didn't expect you to clean it up yourself. You know, it needed to be steamed and cleaned and everything. Where you make your real money though, is on the surge pricing. Okay. What surge pricing is it goes between like 1.1 and 5. Okay. Now, like, say there's a Steeler game. Okay, and if you're down around the stadium, there's a Steeler game. It goes based on the demand and the number of drivers. So if there's not enough drivers to cover the demand, they'll increase the surge pricing to like 2 or 3. So say you make 10 cents a minute and like 60 cents a mile, you'll make $1.20 a mile and 20 cents a minute. Or if it's 5 times, you'll make, you know, $3 a mile and 50 cents a minute. And like, you know, for Steeler games, if you have any stadiums or things like that around you, New Year's was 5 times, man. People were paying like $30 to go. You know, I took somebody 5 miles and I made $42 on the run. But people didn't care. It was New Year's, and they knew that ahead of time. Uber handles that. So it'll say surging in your area. Okay, and if it's surging, it's a multiplier on the basic price. So like a lot of times when it was at 2 in the morning for me, driving people from the bar to the college, that was almost always 2 or 2.5 times surging. So I was maximizing my money I was making. You know, think about it. If I was making $3 on a run and I'm running it 2.5 times, I'm making $7.50. You know, on the same run. That's where you make your money on the surging. But like in Pittsburgh, man, the city, I swear I would drive somebody a half mile, and then I would put that I completed the ride, and it's like game flip. You rate me, and they rate me, and I rate you, and then you can make a comment if you want. If the rider gets too bad of a rating, you can decline them because of bad ratings, but they'll also get booted off using it if they go too bad. Yeah, and if your ratings go too low, you'll end up. But I had a 4.94 stars out of 600 runs. I had one bad rating out of 600 runs, and that was a guy that had. I picked up a guy for the airport. He called for his flight, or he called for a ride for his flight a half hour before it left, and he was 40 minutes away from the airport. If I did the speed limit. And you got to be at the airport to check in through security and stuff. Yeah, well, this wasn't, you know, this was only like 4 or 5 years ago. You still had to be really early. So, he goes, hey, I'll give you a $100 tip if you get me to the airport in the time for my flight. I said, well, you know, that means I'm going to have to speed. I was like, you know, they really frown upon that because when you're running, they can see your stats. They can see like how quick you get somebody somewhere. They know how fast you're driving.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did. I put that I canceled the ride and all that. That's what he asked. You can actually lose your job though for doing that because they're not making their money. Then you're basically stealing from them. Well, actually, I didn't even. I just left the app on and I chanced it. And
Here we go.
I'm getting him there. And the freaking tunnels were closed because of construction. So I had to go around. So I had to go. He gave me a bad rating because I had to go around the tunnels. But I contacted Uber. They can't change the rating, but they noted in there that the tunnels were closed. But I got him. It was a 40-minute ride to the airport. I got him there in 13 minutes. He gave me the $100 tip, but he gave me a bad rating because of the tunnel thing. I didn't understand it. Yeah, right. And like, it's not my fault the tunnels are closed. And I even told him. I said, "Hey, the tunnels are closed." I knew that they were closed. I didn't even try to go them. I said, "That's why I'm going around them." I told him, I'm like, you know, you gotta pick up for a ride, you know, to the airport earlier than a half hour before you gotta go, man. Like, even if you live next to the airport, a half hour is not enough time. You gotta check in.
Sorry.
Hey, still got the. It was my one bad rating. The only thing is, it made my rating look like a 4.994 as opposed to a 5.
There it is.
That pissed me. And I even called Uber. I said, "Hey, is there something that can be done about this rating?" And they said no. They have it set up to where Uber can't change the ratings. That way, they're not changing what they're, you know. So they can't make it look like, oh, hey, my driver's got bad ratings, but we're, you know. I got a mini model. It broke because of the storm.
Storm freaks.
You did it. The zone is cleared. Good work.
Well, I got 54 subscribers on YouTube now, less than a month, and 959 views. You gotta watch the video. Watch the video of Dark's tragic death. It's hilarious. It's like only 3 minutes long. What it is we were playing Black Ops with a guy that actually used to own the bar, or he owned the bar that I did the security for. And so I know him, so I call him Luke all the time, but Dark Liquid's his name online. Well, say something. Oh, your audio. Yeah, your audio is not included because you're on PlayStation. I forgot. So it sounds like I'm talking to myself. Golden drops of rain. Yeah, I know.